Hi folks, this is a relatively short video segment that I'm preparing to uh, clarify the uh, formatting of the submissions for the Catia files in the midterm, which is coming up on July 3rd. Now, this is not the only way of doing it, but here is one suggestion that I can make among other things that you have your own preferred way of doing it. Let's hypothetically say that we're trying to do the problem one, which is an assembly analysis of an assembly problem. Okay, so I will make a fake assembly from the beginning. Okay, and they follow the instructions that I'm trying to give you to reach a point where it is in the format that we want, and you're going to drop these files into the Dropbox in Blackboard. So here's the fake problem that I'm going to do for you. We have a block and we have two cylinders on it. They're fastened together for simplicity, okay? So basically it means that this piece is glued to that, this piece is glued to this, and the left end of the clamp is the left end of the block is clamped, and you put a force on the top. Okay. For visualization purposes, so that I personally have a control over these things, this part I'm gonna call small cylinder. This part I'm going to call big cylinder, and that is the block. And once I solve the problem with these names, then I have to kind of rename them or in this fashion. Okay, first of all, you have to give us 5 files. One file is the product file, and 3 other files are the part files. Do not leave these out. Okay, so product file, 3 part files because you have 3 parts here, and the analysis file. And the way we want you to label it is your student ID number, your last name. For your own benefit, put problem 1 at over here, and then cat product. Same thing with the analysis. Same thing with the part 1, or small part, small cylinder, big cylinder, and the block. Okay? Do not leave any one of these. Do not get the impression that because you're giving us a product, and in the product, the tree, it says, small, it talks about these parts, we can open it. No. If you give us the cat product, you have to give us all the parts also. Okay, so let's go ahead. Don't worry about dimension. Don't worry about the numbers, okay? I'll just make some fake dimensions and then apply some fake force, because the whole process is to show you how to do this. Okay. Let's start with the product file. Product file. Now, I'm going to save this immediately in a folder. This is going to be a folder that basically it has all my intermediate work in it, because in the event the power is lost, in the event your computer crashes, at least you have saved your stuff without the proper naming convention somewhere in a folder. So I'm going to say File, Save Management, Save As, on my desktop, a new folder, and I will say original names. Okay, so in that folder, there's your product. We're going to put it in there and say okay. Then I'm going to insert my first part, insert new part in there. And why don't I call this thing the base? Right click for my own benefit. You don't have to. You can call it part 1, but I'm going to call it base or block, right? Block. This is the instance name, and there is the part name, block. Catia calls it part number. You know that, okay? Right there. You see that? Part number. Say okay. Go make it. Double click on a convenient plane. On that horizontal plane, I will sketch a rectangle. I'm just making something up. This is all fake dimensions, etc. So exit, pad it. And we're perfectly happy with our part 1. Double click on product just to temporarily save this in case there is a power loss. Click on the floppy and block is going to be saved in that folder, temporary folder that you created. So here, right there, see, original, this is you created the product, you created the block, it's there. If power is lost, these are still here. Okay, insert new part, say no, I'll call it the big cylinder. Right click, properties, big cylinder, CYL, CYL, and I can do copy and paste if you want, copy and paste, say okay, make it, double click on this, on a convenient plane, on that plane, I will sketch a circle, like that, that's going to be my big cylinder, exit, pad it, say okay, and double click on product, and save it. So in that temporary folder, you have the big cylinder, the block, and the product. Back there, insert, new part, no, call this thing small cylinder. Right click, properties, small cylinder. Copy and paste, copy, paste, say okay, make it. Double click on a convenient plane, on that top plane, I will sketch a little cylinder right there, exit, pad it, we're good, go all the way on the top, apply material properties to it. Let's say everything is made out of steel, metal, say okay, and save it. Notice that here, we now, in case of power loss, in case of Catia crash, we have saved the product, small cylinder, big cylinder, and the block. Later on, we're going to rename these the way I want it, the way like this, okay? But for now, we just leave it the way it is. Okay, so we go to generative structure analysis. Catia immediately sees 3 solid objects. It's going to mesh them for you. Okay, you can see that. There is the mesh for the block. There is the mesh for this big cylinder. And there is the mesh for the small cylinder. Fine. Okay, now let's create a connection. I want to make these fasten. Okay, so connection between the top surface of the block and the bottom surface of the big cylinder. There we are. That is our first connection. Okay, let's do another one. Top surface of the big cylinder, hide it. Bottom surface of the small cylinder, there we are. So you can see that our connections have been created. Okay, and now we're going to make them fasten. That's what I said. Fasten. Put the fastener sign there, and another fasten for the other guy. Put the fastener sign there. And if anything is bothering you, you want to see your parts, you lose your coordination, just bring this in the front and bring this in the front. There we go. Very good. What else do we have? This side, we're going to clamp. That was the plan. We're going to put a pressure there. Pressure or a force, I don't know, I gave a force, for example. Force, pressure, whatever you're asked to do. Okay? And yeah, say okay. Save your analysis, file, save management. In case power is lost, at least you have the analysis file. You don't have, it is in the original folder, original names, analysis 1, save it there, and okay. By the way, I want to show you that at this point, before running it, you look at it, there's only the five things. There is the analysis, the product, and 3 parts. There is no temporary computation files here. These temporary computational files are going to be created as soon as you run it, and those are things that, although we're going to rename it, we're not going to need it from you. Okay? So, and look at your folder, the 5 files that I promised right there, without the proper naming, of course. You go here, let's run it. Okay. Okay, and you can see, by the way, if you say file, say management, there are 2 additional files that are created here, right there. Okay, these are temporary files. We don't need it. Okay, we don't need these. Okay, we say cancel. And you can look at the deformation. That's what we expect. You can look at the stresses. So basically, you have successfully run the problem. Okay, bad mesh, but it's okay. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to File Save Management. I'm going to select the, okay, this is what you see at the bottom left corner. It says pattern, star. So I'm going to select all of these. All of these. Although I don't need the last 2, but I'll do it anyways. Okay? Now, if you put something before, before the star, it will take all the names that are here and add that thing to it. For example, you said that your student ID was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Your last name was last name, okay, whatever it is. Smith, I don't know, Zamani. And then it's problem 1. Problem 1. And I put a dash there. It said, look, this is what I had. Apply pattern. Look at what happens. It puts that stuff in front of whatever name you had before. Excellent. Now, click on the white spot right there. See that? This is what you want, right? These are what you want. Okay? Now, you select the analysis. Just select the analysis. Select the analysis. Save as. Go make a new folder. New folder. It says my correct. Correct. Was that right? Correct. Naming. Whatever. Just put it in there. Say okay. Save. And say propagate directory. Propagate directory. So what happens, it puts all of these, puts it in the new folder that you created. Hallelujah. So there is your my correct directory. I meant to say my correct directory. It says empty. You have your analysis. You have your product. There's the product. You have all these 3 parts. These 2 also renamed it. We don't need it. You don't have to give us these. These 5 files are the things that you copy or drop and drag into the right place in the blackboard. Okay? Now, one last thing before I stop this. Notice that when you say file, save management, I don't want you to do that, but I'm just letting you know. Notice that there was a star here, right? There was a star here. It says put this stuff before anything that I had before. If you want to put stuff after, don't do that. I'm just telling you how, if you ever want to do that. You go here, select all of these. Please don't do that for us. We don't need it. If you put all of these and put something after the star, modified. How about that? Modified. Apply pattern. See that? It takes all the stuff and after the end add modified, etc. We say, and now if you want to save these for some crazy reason, you select the analysis, save as, go to a new folder, say modified naming, okay? We don't want that for the test, but in case you have to do it for whatever reason, save, propagate directory, we say okay, and look at what we've got here. We've got 3 folders. The original one, which was right here. Let me close this for a second. Let me close that. Okay. Here is my original one, which was here. The stuff that I did it without any adherence to a naming convention. Then there was my correct naming right there. And then there was the modified, which was exactly what we had before, except that at the end, there's the word modified added. Okay? All of these are available to you. Okay? What we want is, for us, is just this correct naming condition, not this one. Where is that? Not the original, right there. These 5 files are what we want. Good luck.